Hello friends, welcome to TechnoGeek SFDC, and in this series we are going to talk about Omnistudio, which is a very hot topic, or you can say very hot tech stack in Salesforce, and always in demand because it is being used to create the business processes with minimal code and in a very shorter period of time. So, first of all, let's try to understand what Omni Studio is and how it is helpful, why it is so much famous. Okay, so Omni Studio, previously known as the Velocity, right now Salesforce acquired it and converted it into the Omni Studio, which is basically a set of tools which is being used to build the business process, or you can say complex business processes with minimal coding that is by using the drag and drop features of the tools. Okay, so it basically used where you want some business process to be built up in a very minimal time, and where the maintenance is very less. You don't want, high paying developers and all to be in picture, where some processes which you can definitely develop with just the drag and drop of the tool. So on those areas, we basically use the Omni Studio, and it is very hot in market. It is very demanding in market. Okay, so it basically use or it's basically a flexible framework. Okay, so it's basically used to create end-to-end workflows. It basically used to create some process where you want to retrieve the data from backend, or let's say if you want to do some integration, there also we use Omni Studios. So there are multiple use cases where you can use these tools. Okay, so now any tool, if I talk about, it is having three layers. Okay, first is your data layer, which is being used to get the data from the database. One is your business layer. Okay, and one is your UI layer. Okay, so these are the three main layers being part of any of the software tools. Okay, and even Omni Studio consists of all the three categories. So some key components of Omni Studios we have is Omniscript, data raptors, or you can call it as data mappers. Earlier it was data raptors, now they have renamed it as the data mappers. Then we have some flex cards, we have integration procedure, we have calculation procedures and metrics. So if we categorize into the type of functionality, so as I was mentioning, we have three layers. One is where we fetch the data from the database. That's where your data raptors comes into picture. Okay, where you can get the data directly from the database, you can connect with the database. Then you have a business layer where you want to perform certain logic or uh, certain processing around the data which you have received. Okay, so that's where majorly we use the integration procedures. And when it comes on a UI part, that's where we have a flex card. Okay, where you can pass these data and then you can show it on the UI. Now, when we talk about OmniScript, it basically being used as it can be used in both the layers, that is your business layer as well as UI layer, because it is having its own UI components as well. Along with it, it is having some logics or some components which can be useful for performing the business logic. So, these are some of the key components of Omni Studio. Now, what are some of the benefits of Omni Studio? Okay, so first benefit is it is a declarative development. Declarative development means that it provides lot of out of the box component which you can just drag and drop and configure on the UI. You don't need to write any kind of code for that. Okay. Another one is scalability. So as I was mentioning, that it can integrate with the multiple systems, and you can get the data from multiple systems. So that's where it is much more scalable. Then you have a reusability. So reusability means it is have, as I was mentioning, that it is having lot of inbuilt components which can be reused anywhere. Also, you can create the omniscripts or flex cards in a generic way, or some, let's say, generic flex cards which can be reused at multiple places just by passing the required data into it. And then last one, I would say we have an enhanced user experience where you can create a guided path, or you can create a guided process where, let's say, you have step one, you will be doing this process, step two, you will be doing another process, step three, you will be doing another process, and you can stitch all of them together in a very efficient way and in a very shorter period of time. So that's where you are also enhancing the user experience by providing them a guided path or guided process flow. Okay, Now, some of the use cases, or you can say some of the industries where we can use in Omni Studio. So it can be used in multiple industries, again based on the use cases. But some of the places where it is being very frequently used is your telecom industry, your insurance, your financial services. For example, in telecom industry where you want to, automate the customer onboarding or the service set or the servicing processes. That's where in the telecom industry you can use it. Again, when it comes to stream insurance, so that's where you can use it for the policy issuance or the policy renewals. That's where. So these are some of the use cases in insurance part. Also in financial services also you can use it where you have to do a loan processing where, as you know, that loan application form is a very big lengthy form. So that's where, so that is also one place where you can utilize the Omni Studio to create some guided path for the loan applications. Along with it, you can also use it for the customer supports. Okay, so first thing we will see that how you can find out or how you can get an Omni Studio org specifically. Okay, so earlier we used to have Omni Studio separate org, 1 month org, but right now we are not getting it. So that is where I would like to show you that how we can get the free Omni Studio org. Okay, so for that you can just come to Google, you can search for Salesforce free org, you will get the free trial org. Okay, click on this link, free trial org, and you will see lot of trial orgs which Salesforce provides you to do the practicing around it. Okay, now in these orgs you have something called industry based trialogues. Okay, so in industry based trialogues we got a lot of orgs which is having the industry specific features in that, like manufacturing cloud, media cloud, net zero, life science, loyalty management. So lot of industry based orgs are there. Okay, now you can just check on each of the org. I can tell you that we have energy and utility and media cloud. So let's say if I go to media cloud, okay. So if you scroll down in the recommended, you can see that this particular org or this particular products includes what all things. We having media cloud data model. You can see we have Omni Studio as well in this. Okay, so you can just get an access to this org or you can sign up for this org, or if you go to energy and utility, here also we get the Omni Studio. Okay, Omni Studio business rule engines. So we will get into the energy energy and utility org as well. So you can use any of these two orgs, and then you can sign it up. And once you sign it up, okay, so I already have a org I can show you. So once you sign it up, you will be landed into the setup, and you can just search here something called Om Omni Studio, and you will be able to see apps, that is Omni Studio apps. Okay, and in Omni Studio apps, again, you will get whatever your required functionalities are, like your basic functionality, like integration procedures, data raptors, flex cards, Omni scripts, all those things we will see in the tab. Okay, so we have these four tabs available. So we will now explore step by step what all components are available into the Omni Studio. We will also see with some of the examples that how you can use these components, where these components will be used in your real business case scenarios. Okay, so in today's video, we will continue and we will see one of the very basic but very powerful and useful component, that is your data mapper. Okay, so as I was mentioning, we have three layers in any kind of software. That is, we have uh, we have a we have a database. So we have a data layer basically, that where we get the data from backend, okay, or from the database. So in Omni Studio, data mappers do those processing. Data mapper is basically a kind of data layer for you, where you can fetch the data from the database. Okay, now, again, we have two types of data mappers, or I would rather call it as a data raptors. Okay, so we have two types of data raptors. Okay, one is normal data raptor, another one is data raptor turbo or turbo data raptors. Okay, so what turbo data raptor do? Okay, so first thing is turbo data raptors are again it's a kind of data raptor only. It is being used to get the data from Salesforce database. The only difference is that in turbo data raptor you can fetch the data or you can fetch the record from a single object. Okay, so let's say if you have to get the data from account, you can directly query on the account or you can directly set the data raptors to get the data from account and you can use it. Okay, now, what are some of the key features of your turbo data extractor? Okay, so it is being used for high data volume extraction. Okay, but there is no transformation or complex logic on the data what you are getting it. Okay, it is basically being used for a pure data retrieval from a single object. Okay, now, what are some of the benefits of Turbo Data Raptors? Okay, so it increases your performance because you're only querying on a single object. Okay, so that's where it increases your performance. Okay, it also simplifies the way you are extracting the data. Okay, because you have a very targeted object from where you are getting the data. So it basically simplifies that process. Okay, some of the use case if I say where you can use the extract or turbo data raptors are where let's say you want to show the list of account on a UI. Okay, so what you have to do, you have to just query the account and then you have to show it on this. So basically here we have to do a query on a single object, that is the account. Okay, so in this case I can use the turbo data raptor, and since I'm only extracting it from one place, my performance will be good and we can easily get the data with the configurations without writing a single line of code. Okay, so we will see that how we can navigate to turbo data extract and turbo data raptor, how we can set up the turbo data raptor. We'll see with a live example. So let's see how we can create a turbo extract data raptor. So once you log in into the org, you will be navigate. You can just go to the app launcher and you can search for Omni Studio, and you will get an app like this. So I'm already on the Omni Studio, so I'm not going to select again. And in Omni Studio app, again, you will get the four tabs. That is your Omni scripts, flex cards, data raptors, and integration procedures. So we will select Omni Studio data raptors. Now, once I select it, you will be landed on the page similar to like what you're seeing here. It will be a list view of the data raptor. Here you have an option or you have a button to create a new one. So I'll just click on new. Now I'll give a data raptor name. So let me just give it as Techno Geek SFTC underscore turbo extract. Okay. Now, interface type is what type of data raptor it is. Data raptors again are being classified into multiple types of data raptors based on its usage. That is, whether you want to fetch the data or whether you want to transform the data, whether you want to insert the data in the database or upsert the data in database. Okay. So here, if you click on the drop down, you will see something called extract and turbo extract. So in our case, we will select turbo extract. Now, your complete Omni Studio is majorly it's a JSON based application. So whether it's a data raptor, whether it's an Omni script, whatever you create on the UI, system creates a JSON in backend. Okay. So now here we have created interface type turbo extract we have selected. Now what will be the input type? So for this particular data raptor, how my input is going to be? So for this, we have an option that is JSON XML. So, and a custom. Custom means you can create your own custom input type by using Apex. We will look into that as well when we will go on the advanced video of the data raptors. So first, in most of the project, if you see, majorly I would say 80 to 85% projects, they will be using the JSON as an input type. So we have JSON selected here. I'll keep it as JSON. Now, after processing, whatever the result you are going to get as part of the extraction process, how you want to show it or how you want to store it in the system or in your process flow, how you want to store it, what will be your output type, that also we will be defining. So by default we have JSON. You can also have your own custom defined output type by using the Apex. So for now we will select the JSON. Okay, and then we have something called required permissions. which is an optional field. But again, what required permission do is you can here specify that which role or which custom permission or which profile should have access to this data raptor. So this is what you can specify here. Okay, and then finally you have a description. So I'll just leave them as is. Okay, and then I'll click on save. Now, as soon as I clicked on save, okay, you can see that this is what a UI on which you will be landed. Okay, where first what you have to select the object from where you want to extract the data. Okay, so for example, you'll get all the objects in the drop down. You can select anyone. So let's say select account. In our case, we will just keep a scenario that okay, I want to get the account related information. Okay. Now, extract output path. What extract output path means is basically whenever we do an extraction via data raptor turbo extract. Okay, so as you know that it is a JSON, correct? So whenever we create a JSON, okay, let me quickly show you how it looks like. Okay. So whenever basically when we do an extraction using the turbo extract or normal extract as well, we get the output as a JSON. Okay. Now, if you remember in the JSON, whenever this is a standard JSON structure that whatever we have basically key value pairs, right? So we have something called key, and then we have the value corresponding to that key. Something like let's say I'll give it as key one. Sorry, I'll give it as key one followed by value one. So value one can be, it can be an array or it can be a single object, it can be a static value, it can be anything, right? So whatever extract output path you are seeing, this is what you're going to define that what is the key name. Okay, you will be giving here the key name, and whatever the result is that it will come and get stored in that particular key. Okay, so let me just give it as, let's say, account, or I will just give it as account list. Okay, now next is you have filter condition. So if you have a specific filter, you can specify the filter conditions here. Okay, for example, let's say I'll give it as name, or I'll take it as name. Okay, again, you have different operators, that is name equal to, not equal to, or includes everything. Okay, so let's say I'll keep it as equals, and let me just quickly see if I can, or I'll just keep it as like, so that I can show you how it can get the multiple records. Okay, name like, and then followed by, I'll let's say give it a text name. Okay, or I'll give it as test. Here I'm going to go to account so that I can just see what account I have in my database. Okay, so I'll give it as test. Okay, now, one thing to note here, whenever you are giving a static value, that has to be in the form of double quotes. Okay, or double quotes or single quotes, you have to give the value in the form of quotes. Okay, this states that this is a static value. Okay, but let's say if you want to take capture it dynamically, let's say from outside, then you can just remove the quotes and you can give something like this ACC name. Okay, we will discuss, or we'll see an example of this type of extract as well, where we should be able to pass the value from outside. Okay, now for now I'll give it as test. Okay, similarly you have other options. You have an option that you can add multiple filters by using and condition or condition. You can even put the limit on number of for example, let's say if I select limit, so you can just select, keep the limit as how much records you want to keep. Let's say I'm just keeping it as 10. Okay, similarly, and you can also just notice one thing here, that whenever I'm going on filter and clicking on the drop down, you get an multiple option, that is and or offset order by, right? But when I'm going on the limit, okay, you can see that I'm only getting offset and order by. So this type of filtering of the options, okay, is being used so that basically, see what happens is whatever the query or whatever the configuration you are doing here on the UI, it creates a kind of SOQL query in the backend. Okay, so that's where this type of filtering on the dropdown has been placed so that a proper SOQL query can be built. Okay, so let's say I have just kept it as name like test. Okay, now you get an option that you can fetch the information related to this particular account. Related object means here we are talking about the parent objects. Okay, for example, we have record types. Okay, so record type is your parent object and account is your child object. Okay, so whatever parent objects are there, you can get its information as well. Basically you are navigating from bottom to top. So bottommost record is your account record, okay, or account object, and then from account object whatever the related objects are there, like parent account, or you can say the record type, all those, or you can say owner ID, or you can even fetch the user via owner field. So this is basically a kind of lookup field on account which is pointing to user, correct? So you get an option that you can get the information from related objects as well. Okay, for example, let's say if I want to get the account record name as well. Okay, record type name. So I can just select the type. Okay. Now, once I select it, okay, I can get I can select a account record type. Okay. Now, next is what all fields you want to fetch. Okay. Either you can select all and you can keep it, or you can just select whatever is the required field. Okay. So for example, I'll select record type dot name. Okay. I'll just select record type dot name, and then let's say I'll select you have, and then you can also select created by, or you can select the developer name, descriptions, anything. Okay, so I can just select the developer name as well. Okay, so this is what the related object fields you can select here. Okay, now also we can just click on normal account. So see, when I selected account record type, I was able to see the record type object fields. Similarly, if I want to get the other normal account record field, so I can just select account from the drop down. I can click on, I can search for the fields like name, and then let's say I'll select it as rating. I'll select as a rating. Okay. Now, next, I want the information from owner as well. So as we know, owner is a user, so you will get all the user related information. So I can select owner dot username. So now if you see here, okay, I am able to retrieve information from three objects. Okay, first is my normal account object where I'm getting owner name and rating. Then I'm also able to get the owner's username, so account owner's username, because it's a user record, right? So I'm getting information from there, and then also I'm getting the record type related information. Okay, so these are the fields which I will be selecting here. I can select the fields here. Okay, now next is options. Okay, so we have selected the fields here. Now you have certain other options as well, where basically you can select platform whether you want to cache this information or cache the record fetch, so that you can increase the processing time. You can also include the field level security checks so that a user, whenever a user is running the data raptor info, okay, it will first check whether the user is having access to the particular field or not, then only it will run it. Okay, so now we will go and we'll just check on the preview. So in Turbo Extract Data Raptor, it is very simple. It is having very few tabs, like your extract, where you will give the basic configurations regarding like what object, what fields you need, and what are the filter criterias. Okay, and then you have options where you can just set some other options like check for field level security, search for the platform, or basically set up the platform cache and other things. And then you have the preview. Okay, Now in preview, you can just click on execute and you can see that we got the result. So if you can see, it created a query in backend, that is select ID, comma, record type dot developer name, owner name, and all these things, right? So it got me the information. And if you notice, we have something called account list, which we have set it as an extract output path. So whatever result we got, it set it in the account list variable. So this is the variable, and whatever the info is there, we got the info into this particular variable. We got it into the stored, and now this JSON has been created, which can be passed to your Flex card, LWC, and other stuffs, and you can use it. Okay. Now, we have seen that how we can hard code it. But let's say if I want to keep it dynamic, then how I can do? So, as I was mentioning, instead of giving in the double quotes, you can just pass a variable name, that is ACC name, or you can just give any name as per your business need and business standards. You can give any name. Okay, so I have given ACC name. Okay, now once I do this and I go on preview, I have a value that I have a option to add key value pair. So I can click on it. It will ask me for key. Key is my ACC name. Value what I'm going to provide is, let's say I'll give it as Alok. Okay. And if I execute this, so now if you can see, the extract or basically the query which has been created is where name like Alok. Okay. So you can see I have passed the value dynamically here. I'm not hard coding anything. Okay. So this is how you can basically create a turbo extract data raptor where you can fetch the information from a single object. We have seen that how you can select the object, how you can add the filters, how you can add the limits, and also how you can take the information from the related object, that is your parent object. Okay, your master object of the parent objects. Okay, and then you can get the field informations from the parent objects as well, like in our case record type dot developer name, record type dot name, like that. Okay, and then also how you can keep it more dynamic in nature by passing the variable name instead of hard coding it here. Okay, on this part. So for today's video, we will wrap it up here. I would like to get your feedback as well. Whatever you feel that has been missing, please let me know. I'll definitely try to cover up in my next videos around the Omni Studio. And stay tuned. We will be coming back with more and more videos on the Omni Studio covering all the different topics. And we will also see some of the live examples and some use cases. So with this, we will wrap up today's video. Thanks for your time. Bye bye.